Hello and welcome to At Home Among Strangers. My name is Brad Brenneman and I live here in Bishkek. I've been in Central Asia for 26 years. Today in the studio with me is Dr. Naqvi, who is the Rector of the University of Central Asia, which is working in Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and also a little bit in Afghanistan. Dr. Naqvi, thank you so much for coming today to the studio. Before we get into the work of the university, which is actually very interesting, I would like just to ask questions about you. Where are you from? And then eventually we'll get to how you ended up in Central Asia, but tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from originally, and then your education.
So I'm originally from Pakistan. I was born there and did my early education over there. And after high school, I went to the US and studied engineering. And studied engineering. I went on to complete a PhD degree and then decided to work over there at the University of New Mexico, and was there for 6 years, got tenure as an associate professor, and then decided to come back to Pakistan.
Okay. The question, did you have any family in the US, or you just went as a foreign student? I know for a lot of the people watching, it's like, how do you leave and go study in another country? Now you're in education, or you've been in education your whole career.
Yeah.
But how did that happen?
Well, that simply happened because I wanted to study engineering, and in Pakistan, English is the medium of instruction. And in the English-speaking world, in engineering, the United States was the top destination in the world. So I applied for university, got admitted to Purdue University, and just continued my studies over there then.
Interesting. And your family was all in Pakistan?
My family was in Pakistan at that time. I come from a large family. We are 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And at this time, 2 sisters reside in the US. One brother is in Singapore, one brother is in Pakistan, and then one more sister is in Pakistan. So we spread out. All of us actually went to the US to study. Then some stayed on, got married, others came back.
So some stayed on and got married. I know that you were married. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Yes. In my last year in PhD, I got married to Iram back in Pakistan. She's a Pakistani. And we have been together ever since. This is now our, keep forgetting, I better not make a mistake here. Careful. 32 years. 32 years. 33. And we have 3 children. Eldest is a son. He's also in the US. Youngest is a son. He's also working in the US. We're all US citizens as well as being Pakistanis. And our daughter is actually living in Pakistan. She's married there.
Okay. So you have also, you said US citizenship.
Yes.
You know, so you went through the process of naturalization to become a citizen.
Absolutely. Was there, working there, living there, and we became US citizens.
I guess a question I do ask almost everyone who comes is, how many languages do you speak?
Well, it depends how good we're talking. So Urdu is the language of Pakistan, and then there is a local variant which is Punjabi. Some people count it as a different language. It's more a variation. English is the medium of instruction there. Then in addition to that, I learned and actually got a certificate in Spanish. And then I also know German, and now I have been studying Russian for a couple of years. Yeah.
How is, first of all, German? How does German language fit into Urdu, Punjabi, well, English, Spanish, and then German?
The German language fits in because my mother is Austrian. So in that regard, it is my mother tongue. And so I would visit my grandparents and spend time there and picked up the language. I had also worked for one summer that was just a summer job. So that's the reason.
So you are Pakistani, but actually half Austrian.
Yes.
It's also very interesting. Now, how is the studying of Russian going?
The studying is coming along. It's like you progress in stops and starts. So you are going, and I was very surprised, for example, in the beginning when you learned the alphabet. I thought it would be so difficult, but it was like almost like a day or two, and then you know how to read, and it's so exciting that you're able to read signs. And then it progresses fast, and then you get stuck. And then you are stuck for a long time, and I feel now I've started to move again. So today it was Ya Khachu and Ya Magu, and I was Khotil and Khotila, Khatil, Khatila. So
probably the hardest thing, which native speakers of Russian don't understand why this is difficult for us. It's the verbs of motion, because in English it's very simple. I go, I went, I came, and you start doing it in Russian. There's many different sets that you go on foot, on a bicycle, in a car, in a bus, in a train.
Do you do it repetitively or one time?
This one is it takes a long time to learn.
And the gender.
Yes.
And the difficult thing with the gender is that you have to then know the spelling, because you have to know, is it ending in merkiznak or o, and you can't tell it when you speak it. So you actually have to know the correct spelling to figure out, and then all of the things change in correlation with the gender.
Yes.
So, Samaya, Balshaya.
I went through this process myself. I started learning Russian when I was 22, 23. And it took many years to get to being, I guess in Russian it's svobodny, which is being able to freely speak and communicate. But my goal was I wanted to, because I got married when I was 26. My wife is from Uzbekistan, and my goal even before then was to sit with friends around a table or family and participate. Until you can participate in just the fun conversation around the table, you're not part of that culture and society until you can do that. Yeah. So I was very motivated, not to become an academic or something, but to just be part of life.
Yes.
To understand in real time and to respond to jokes or things, to comment at the right time.
Yeah.
That's very difficult. It took a long time to get.
No, I can understand. But just to be able to understand a lot of words, and many times to be able to get the context, it's very nice. I mean, I love languages, and to live in a place and not know the language would be quite bad. So I'm glad, and I know it is an effort, but it is well worth it.
Well, let's transition to your work, not so much your career, but really Kyrgyzstan. You live in the Kyrgyz Republic. You're responsible for a work that is throughout Central Asia. What was your first time to visit Kyrgyzstan, and your first impressions?
Well, the first time I actually visited Kyrgyzstan was in 2012. And at that time, I was a consultant for the Asian Development Bank, actually looking at the project which was called the University of Central Asia. So I analyzed the project, and that was my first series of visits to Bishkek. I was actually quite surprised by the city, because from a financial standpoint, you would look at it and you would say, well, this is, let's say, a developing country. Its per capita GDP is low. But when you get here, then you realize that the level of human development is actually very high. People are all educated, and that makes a big difference to the entire context, into the sophistication of society, life here. And then from 2012 to then when I came back here in 2018, very, very rapid changes. And even between 2018 and now, in the past 2 years, the city has developed in terms of culture, in terms of cuisine, in terms of what is available. And it's a really very livable and a very nice city, Bishkek. And of course, the country is fabulously beautiful and great to go around.
I remember the first time I visited the Narin University of Central Asia campus. I'm not sure if I'm saying it correctly. It's called?
It's called the Narin campus.
Narin campus, yeah. Okay. I was, besides the campus being in the buildings, everything being absolutely beautiful, the location is also just stunning. The red mountains and everything. So it's definitely a very beautiful country and very accessible. I like to say there's no fences. Everywhere you go, it's just open country. So it's good to hear that you also enjoy the country. What exactly can you say, just summarize briefly? I know you have here the annual report from the university. What is the general mission of, you probably have a mission statement for the University of Central Asia?
Right. So the one word that would be unique and would be describing different aspects of the University of Central Asia, that is development. And we have to recognize the university as an integral part of the Aga Khan Development Network. And the main goal and mission of that development network is improving the quality of life. So the work that the university does derives itself from that central mission through education and research, improving the quality of life. And because you are situated in mountain communities, our campuses are in Narin here in Kyrgyzstan and in Khorog in Tajikistan, and also we are going to be building a campus in Tekeli in Kazakhstan. They're all, the distinguishing feature is that they are relatively far away from the major cities, and they're close to the mountains. So these mountain communities with their unique perspective in life, unique heritage, and unique in the sense of the difficulties and challenges that they face, in that environment, what is it that the university can do to improve the quality of life, starting from that particular place and moving on to the general entire region. So that is the defining mission of the university. And then as a part of this network, I would say its work is distinguished by excellence. And its work is distinguished by the fact that it is focusing on the long term. There is, when you work in education, you don't do anything that makes an impact tomorrow. You're talking about generational changes in the lives of communities, in the lives of people. And so development, excellence, and a long viewpoint would be, I would say, the central core themes that we work with here.
In Bishkek in particular, we have, I guess, a number of either foreign funded or foreign built universities. Primarily there's the Turkish universities, and there's AUCA, American University. How does UCA completely, I guess, what is the differentiating point between what you're doing and what the others are doing? The difference starts with sort of the genesis, where it started. And this university is a foreign university and a Kyrgyz university and a Tajik university and a Kazakh university, because it's an international university. Its charter was signed by the presidents of Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan, and His Highness the Aga Khan. So it is registered with the United Nations. So to start with, it doesn't belong to one country, it belongs to the entire region. It's a not-for-profit institution. There is nobody who is going to take any money out of the university. All the funds that are generated, and there's not much, it still is funded by the Aga Khan Development Network,
they're used inside the university. Then it is a secular institution. It has no religion associated with it. Excellence is the only language that it speaks. Another key distinguishing feature is that of research. Modern higher education institutions are not just teaching entities, they are research entities. And the research is critical and required because the institution has to live with and respond to its environment and its challenges that are uniquely local, derived from its history, dependent upon its culture, its environment, the physical environment, in our case, for example, climate change. So, as one example, so how it situates itself and then responds to it. So that is very important. And our university is looking at all of these elements. The other thing that is very, very different about the University of Central Asia is that it consists of 3 schools. Our School of Arts and Sciences, this sort of the Narin campus, let me show it over there.
And by the way, this is available online.
This is available online.
In Russian and in English.
All our work is in 5 languages.
5 languages, okay. So if people want to research the university, they will go to
ucentralasia.org.
Okay.
So this is the School of Arts and Science. This is what you would call the regular university type. This is an undergraduate program. At this time, later on, we will develop postgraduate programs also for this school. But we have 2 other schools. One is the School for Professional and Continuing Education, which is short cycle, which means English courses, accounting courses, IT courses, entrepreneurship, business development, all kinds of courses that are skills oriented, short term. And that is very widespread. That is very large, that program. And our third program, third school, is the Graduate School of Development. So that is the Institute of Public Policy and Administration, Mountain Societies Research Institute, the Center for History and Humanities, and the Civil Society Institute, the Cultural and Historical Humanities Unit. So all of these together form the university. And that is something that also distinguishes us from our peers.
I had 2 questions based on what you just shared. One, for local people, we're in the Kyrgyz Republic, so for here, what does it cost to attend the university?
There are 2 types of costs. One is the advertised cost, and the other one is the real cost. We believe that education in a university should be available to anybody who can get in, irrespective of their ability to pay. So if they can pay the full fees, which is $8,000 per year, which includes tuition and living and boarding, everything.
Yes, I've been in the dormitory in Narin campus, and it's very nice. The cafeteria, it's wonderful.
It is fabulous.
Yes.
So that is the full fees. For those who can pay, that is the fee. And for those who cannot, there are people who pay 0. In fact, on average, all of the students combined, our average fee that the students are paying is $1,500 per year. $1,500 doesn't even cover the cost of.
So there's living. A process to determine who receives subsidy.
Absolutely.
Okay.
There is a process. We look at the student. But first of all, we carry out the admission process and we don't open the financial package at all. So if a person has been admitted, we will guarantee that you will study at the university.
I think it's an important point for our viewers to understand the philosophy behind it, the priorities on the education, and the money will be found or is available to help those who can get in. And it's not so you don't just like decide as a student, I'm going to UCA. There is a process exams to get into university?
No, there is a difficult process. There are thousands of students applying, and there is only a couple of hundred seats that is available in our Narin campus, and a couple of hundred in our Khorog campus, but the couple of hundred is the total capacity. So each year we're only looking at between 70 and 80 students, and like about 2,500 students applying. So there is huge competition, and we are also limiting the number of students that we are taking from outside the founding states. So we consider the founding states, that is Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan all together, and they compete among themselves, and 85% of the seats are for them. Only 15% are for outside, to give another additional perspective to students and make them a part of the world. And there is, I'm not talking about the current year. The COVID year was a different year.
Yeah, this is a question coming up, is how is it affected?
So normally we would have the admission test, and then we would have an assessment of the admission information that they provide. So what are their extracurricular activities, what other things do they do, and then we have an interview also. This year we were unable to have an admission test because of COVID, and the assessment was based on their assessment of their previous academic record and interviews. And then the admission committee is a completely extraneous entity from the university, which consists of people from civil society, experts from different parts of the world, who then look at all of the results and rank the students. So a completely merit-based process here.
We touched briefly on 2020, COVID, the pandemic. How has that affected not just the admissions process, but the entire activities of the university?
Well, our university being an international university, so there was already a very strong focus on technology and communication. So that we were always interested in classes coming from one campus and being available on the other campus. Our work, because we have 15 different locations, so we worked on the technological platforms and able to talk to each other through the computer, etc. But we were not very strong in distance education and online education. What COVID did was it turned us into an online university, and we had to do it very, very quickly. So we offered half of the spring semester in person, and then of course all of the universities were closed, students went home, and the rest of the half was all online. And students, teachers and the university were all in different locations. so that was quite a challenge, but that worked out well.
I think everyone, as a father, we've been going through the same transition, how our children study and learn. It's been a very strange year so far, and continues.
And continues, and continues, because the fall semester also starts online.
Well, we'll be closing soon, but what has been the relationship and the impact, especially in Kyrgyzstan, of the Narin campus in the region, speaking of the oblast of Narin?
So the university, with its very strong development focus and very strong focus on a culture of ethics, inclusiveness, and making sure that you're taking everybody along with you. So both our faculty and students, they are expected to work with the community. Whether they are teaching English and math to children, or they are working with the city government, in all aspects, we believe that the university is going to be only as strong as the community that it works with. So from teacher training programs to full-fledged programs with the government of the city of Narin and the oblast of Narin. So for example, we are doing a master planning exercise with the city government of Narin. This is together with the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, looking at the future of Naren. What is envisioned? What kind of city will it be? How will it grow? Where would industry be located? What are going to be the drivers of growth and development of that city? We proposed to them the idea of the smart city, because one of the programs that we have there is communications and media, and also computer science. So we're working with them to assist them using technology for improvement of everyday citizen services, and also adding new possibilities to government. One of the projects that the communications and media department did was in terms of green Naren. Naren prides himself in being organic, back to nature. So how does one do branding of that? And how would one develop the brand, if you would say, of green Naren? So university is a physical entity, and no matter what will change, it will never go away. It is a part of the soil of Naren. And so its integration with the community, working with them, when times are good and when times are bad. So when it's time for COVID, they get together to see what is it, the support that they can provide. There was request for help for the ski lift for Naren. So the university pitched in and helped improve the ski resources, because that's where we live. That's our home.
Thank you very much for coming. I'm not sure if you want to add anything more that we haven't covered.
Well, I wanted to talk about the research programs and the upcoming innovation programs, and we are going to be building a center for entrepreneurship in Naren, because the future is about the young people and providing them the ability to create businesses and to be successful in businesses.
I find that many of the people I know, they want to create something, but they don't have the not just the resources, meaning money or something. Many of them have money, but it's really understanding the whole business process. It's so much more complicated to make something long-lasting and successful.
Yes,
that is what needs to be happening, is helping to really understand counting, understanding, creating business plans. Everyone wants to go and do something really fast.
No, but
it's not successful.
But it's not successful because you need to know how to work with people. You need to know financing. You need to be able to sit down and work the nitty-gritty. You need to understand what is the needs of the market, and you need to understand how is it that you are going to make money. And making money is not using this in a bad sense. You're doing it completely ethical, well, but you can't buy something for 100 som and sell it for 80. You're never going. So you have to follow through with that, and you have to do marketing, you have to do branding, you have to do sales, you have to invest for the future. So it takes a lot of effort for an entrepreneurial venture to become successful, the money part, which people think is always the problem, is actually not.
It's not the problem. Exactly, it's not the problem.
If you create the right business, and then if you know how to sell it, this is called pitching. And so you would come across an entrepreneur, and in 30 seconds, can you give your whole idea and get him interested and hooked into this thing? So there is an entire science behind it and an art behind it also, and we wish to work with the community in developing such kinds of businesses. And then at the other end of the spectrum, the concept of research and evidence-based policy making. So, for example, in these COVID times, what exactly has worked? What has not worked? What is the evidence? I mean, it's all right that my neighbor said that his cousin who was there, they were visiting and they came across this, and their son, this kind of medicine worked. That's not how policies are going to be defined. They're going to be defined by research, getting the data, converting the data, analyzing it, converting it into information, and the information leads to policy. So that's the work that our Institute of Public Policy is working on, and we hope to support the growth and development of this wonderful country through the work that the university is doing.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to hear about particularly the end. As an entrepreneur, I'm always talking about this. There's so much more involved in creating a successful business than just buying some things and selling it and having some money. So this is what's really, really needed, because I believe myself that the growth in the economy in the country will come from the thousands of small businesses that people are running. They're producing something and selling it and making a profit. Unfortunately, so many businesses here, they do exactly what you say. That maybe they don't buy for 100 som and sell for 80, but they're losing money, and they fail.
And they don't know, because they have not done the detailed analysis and taken the discipline of doing the accounting in the appropriate manner, and then creating a sellable product. Ultimately, you have to sell something that people
have to want to buy what you're selling. You have to convince them to buy it, or you have to make what they want.
Yes,
so,
absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. You've been watching At Home Among Strangers. Today with me in the studio is Dr. Naqvi, who is the Rector of the University of Central Asia, throughout all of Central Asia. Thank you very much.
A pleasure. Thank you, Brad.
See you next time.